Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Answers with Andrew. This is a short series that I'm doing to try to answer questions that families and small business owners may have regarding the areas of law that I practice in, which is estate planning and administration, real estate law, small business law, and some asset protection as well. And so today's question, or what we're going to be talking about today, is motor vehicle title transfers. And so motor vehicles are an area, I would say probably one of the biggest areas that I see missed in estate planning. By saying missed, I mean someone would have liked to have avoided probate with their motor vehicle titles, but instead they ended up going through probate with their motor vehicle titles. Now, what makes something a probate asset? In a nutshell, if you die with it in only your name, right? So if you die with a car title or a bank account, checking account, money market, investment account at Edward Jones, or Morgan Stanley, this makes it a probate asset because you've died with it in only your name. You don't have a beneficiary on it, and it's not set up either in a trust or to transfer to a trust upon death. It becomes an item of probate that must be transferred through the probate court, either pursuant to your will or to the statute of descent and distribution, which is what we use to transfer assets when we don't have a will. When somebody dies, what's called intestate. And so motor vehicles under the law in the state of Ohio are kind of divided into two classes. And so you will fall into one of those two classes when you're trying to transfer a motor vehicle title. The first class is you're married and you're trying to transfer from a spouse who has deceased. And so in that case, the law says that the surviving spouse, the law favors marriage, right? So we're going to make some allowances for married couples that we're not going to make for everybody else. And we're going to say, okay, you lost a spouse. That's hard. Here's what the law says. You can transfer an unlimited number of motor vehicle titles up to a cumulative value of $65,000. So what does that mean? That means if husband dies and husband has a truck in his name that's worth $20,000 and a trailer that also happens to be titled in his name that's worth another $10,000, so $30,000 of motor vehicle titles, the surviving spouse wife can take the deceased husband's death certificate, go down to the title bureau in the county where they live, and basically show proof of who she is, show proof that her husband is passed, that she was the surviving spouse, that they were married under law. It'll say that she's the surviving spouse, likely right on his Ohio death certificate. And she can say, I want these motor vehicles transferred over to my name. And the state of Ohio will say, okay, we're happy to do that. Now, if the husband had 10 Corvettes in his name, all worth $100,000 a piece, these are rare Corvettes, so he's got $1 million Corvette collection. Well, he should have done something else with these titles prior to, because he's now going to fall outside of that cumulative $65,000 allowance. And so this is the idea being, for married couples, we want to make it simple and to get one or two vehicles over into the surviving spouse's name. We don't want that to be a hassle for a surviving spouse. Now, for everybody else who's not a spouse, right? So the surviving parent, the wife then dies. How do her kids take those titles to that same motor vehicle? Well, we've got three methods. I made this little list here. The first method is take it through probate, right? I said that. So take it through probate pursuant to a will or the statute of descent and distribution. The second is transfer on death, right? We can have mom, in my example, the surviving spouse was mom. She can go take those titles to dad's truck and dad's trailer, add TODs to them at the title bureau, and name one or two of her sons or daughters or whoever she might choose, maybe a grandchild that's in college and needs a vehicle, etc. These are all types of things that I've seen people do before in my practice. The third option is we can title things into the trust, right? We can have a family trust and we can title vehicles. So I'll show you the top of this page as well, right? Motor vehicles is pretty much everything that has a title except for airplanes, which goes through the FAA out of Oklahoma. But, cars, boats, boat motors, trailers, anything, ATVs, UTVs, anything that comes with a title. And so we can title things into the trust, or we can set things up TOD again to go into the family trust upon death. But the thing to remember with trust ownership is we have to update insurance often as well. Let our insurance agent know that we don't own the car individually anymore. We've got it in the family trust now. So there can be some insurance complications there that we need to watch out for. But overall, what I want you to see from this video is two different classes when we're talking about motor vehicle transfers. One being, are you a surviving spouse? And the other being everybody else who's not a surviving spouse. And then the best ways to transfer these things, if you're not a surviving spouse, is often to have the transfer on death already set up on the title prior to death, the TOD, or to have it in the family trust and to know that it's going to avoid probate because it's in the trust. Thanks so much for tuning in, and see you next time.